This is a 2021 Scott Addict RC 15, and it's everything you want from a modern road race bike. It's extremely fast, it's very stiff, the handling is great, the ride comfort is reasonably smooth, you've got disc brakes, aerodynamics, integration, and a great looking frame as well. So this is my review of the bike, let's dive in. Before we dive into the frame details and the ride performance, a quick history lesson just to appreciate where the Addict has come from and how far it has developed. So the Addict was launched way back in 2007, and the aim for that bike was to be the lightest carbon fibre race frame available at the time, and still very light by today's standards. So high-tech carbon fibre, integrated seat mast, some very cool features. And it really helped set Scott on this path of being a company renowned for innovation and high-end engineering and super lightweight carbon fibre frames. Fast forward to 2020, and last year the latest generation Addict was launched, and a big change in direction. No longer just purely focused on being as light as possible, it's now as aero as possible whilst maintaining that focus on low weight. And that's really a trend we're seeing in the road bike industry right now, with the likes of the Specialized Tarmac SL7, the Trek Amonda, the Focus Iwasaki Max, and quite a few others. Bikes that were once just concerned with being as light as possible, now being as aero as possible whilst maintaining that low weight. So a tricky balance, but really shows how road bikes have developed. So the original Addict launched in 2007. They followed up with the Foil in 2011, the first aero road bike from the company and one of the first of this new generation of aero road bikes. And for 2020, the Addict has been given the biggest update in its history. And you can clearly see the aero influence from their Foil aero road bike. The fork blade profiles, the head tube, that fat down tube, the aero seat tube and seat post, the drop rear stays, and of course an aero handlebar and stem with all the hoses and cables concealed inside, so very clean front end. So clearly lots of advances over that original Addict in that pursuit of performance and speed. But what's really impressive is where the original Addict was 790 grams, this new Addict with its disc brakes and aero tube profiles also weighs 790 grams, admittedly in the top end HMX SL carbon version. The frame on this mid-range model weighs a bit more at 850 grams with a 340 gram fork. That's still good enough for a 7.84 kilogram weight in this size 56 with an Ultegra Di2 group set and carbon wheels, which is well in line with other bikes in this sector. So while it might be easy to draw a conclusion that Scott and other bike brands haven't really progressed bikes in terms of weight compared to what we had back in the early 2000s, I think the fact the frame is only 60 grams heavier with all the aero features, the integration and the disc brakes is very impressive. And that focus away from weight to aerodynamics and integration and disc brakes is largely as a result of the UCI's 6.8 kilogram weight limit. So better to focus on aerodynamics, integration, disc brakes and other features which can add performance in other ways rather than just focus on weight, because weight isn't everything unless you're a weight weenie and you're only riding up mountains, and other important considerations in bike design aside from weight. The new Addict is disc brakes only, there is no rim brake version anymore, and it's compatible with mechanical and electronic group sets. We've got 12mm through axles and flat mount calipers, and you'll notice something interesting at the fork. So to remove the adapter you normally have with a caliper, you have this cover here into which two bolts go to hold the caliper in place, like we've seen on the Open Up and the 3T Exploro Race Max. But rather than have the two bolts exposed, we have a really neat carbon cover, which I've not seen anything like before, and there's a magnet inside which holds it in place, and it does hold it in place really well. I've not had any issues with it falling off, it doesn't rattle, I've not even noticed it to be honest, it's so seamless, so a really neat bit of design from Scott there. And then we have the integration at the front end, which is a key feature on top end race bikes like the Addict. The top end bike gets a full carbon fibre one-piece handlebar and stem. Here on this bike we have an alloy handlebar and an alloy stem. It seems every manufacturer has their own approach to how to route the cables and hoses and wires inside the handlebar, stem and into the frame. The system that Scott has gone for routes the cables out of the back of the handlebar through a small hole, over the top of the stem and into the frame in front of the steering tube using some special headset spacers. You can remove these spacers as well, they're split so you can remove them, cut the steering tube, slam it if you want to as well, but it's a demo bike so I haven't touched it. So what Scott have tried to achieve is a system that's easy to maintain, it's easy for mechanics to work on, and building the bike up when it arrived, it was fairly easy, had no issue at all. So I can't foresee it being a tricky bike to work on. It's quite a distinctive looking stem with just 2 bolts at the front, and it sort of hooks into place on the top, which is quite unusual. But I've had no issues, it's easy to set up, and it's not giving me any problems during the month or so I've had the bike. It's a nice shaped handlebar as well. Carbon would be nice at this price point, but the aluminium handlebar works fine. Nice compact drops and quite nice bar tape as well. So very clean front end. You can probably guess that Scott is a company, it's fair to say, obsessed with weight. And a good example of that obsession is the seat clamp. It's an external seat clamp, which is nice to see because it's easier to maintain than an internal seat clamp. But it uses quite a small Torx bolt, but it is minimal, super lightweight, and it works fine. You've got gripper tape on the D-shaped seat post, so no slipping during use, it works okay. Not the prettiest compared to an internal seat clamp, but like I say, easier to set up than an internal seat clamp. And then we have a press fit bottom bracket, allowing for the down tube and seat tube and chainstay to be as big as possible. And I've had no issues with it creaking or squeaking at all, so it's just been fine. So those are the main details on the new Addict RC 15. The Addict has all the performance a good road race bike should. It pulls no punches. It's superbly quick, extremely capable, and has a real snappiness to its handling that lets you change direction very easily, just how you want a road race bike to perform. The traction from the 28mm wide Schwalbe tyres is superb, and in addition to disc brakes, lets you corner very aggressively with full commitment. This level of precision in the way it corners is superb and makes for a very exciting and dynamic ride experience. It's hard though not to adopt a full attack mode when riding the Addict. Even when I set out for a gentle spin, I soon found myself smashing along the road, hands in the drops, eking out every watt from my legs and ounce of aero advantage from the bike. It delivers great performance on my local twisting roads with lots of gradient changes. You really notice a high level of stiffness when you're sprinting and climbing, and it feels very efficient. It really leaps forward when you crank hard on the pedals. What it's not though is silky smooth. On my roughest roads, the composure is challenged and can be jarring at times. But elsewhere, the 28mm wide tyres do help to cushion you reasonably well. Ignore the occasionally hard ride, and it's a thoroughly capable road race bike. The speed is spectacular and makes you wonder why there's any need for a full bore aero road bike like the Foil when the Addict is this fast. This bike grabs your attention straight away and demands your full commitment. Take it by the scruff of the neck and it'll rapidly win you over, and you'll soon be addicted to the Addict in the same way I've become. So that is what the Addict RC 15 is like to ride. Now let's go through the component highlights and talk about price and value for money and how it compares to some key rivals in this sector. So firstly, the price. This model here costs £5,500, but the range starts at £3,700 and goes all the way up to nearly £12,000 for the all bling, all carbon, everything superbike at the top of the range. So how does it compare to rivals in this category? Well, I picked two to talk about. Firstly, the Canyon Ultimate, direct sales brand of course, so better value because there's no dealer, no bike shop to go through. Their Ultimate with the same Ultegra Di2 group set and carbon fibre wheels costs currently £5,000. But in my opinion, that Ultimate is a dated bike. It's been around for quite a few years, it's in need of an update, not as aero as the Addict, and the ride quality isn't as sharp and responsive as the new Addict. And the Addict is clearly a faster bike in my opinion, having ridden the Ultimate last year. You also get external cables on the Ultimate, so not as integrated as this bike, but in terms of value, you're getting the same group set and carbon wheels for a bit less money. The other comparison is a Specialized Tarmac SL7, a bike like the Addict you can buy from your local bike shop, if they have it in stock of course, because that's an issue at the moment, but gloss over that. A Tarmac SL7 with the same Ultegra Di2 group set costs less money at £5,250, but, and it's a big but, you only get low grade aluminium rims. So if you want carbon wheels on that bike, it's going to cost you more money, probably in excess of £6,000. So not quite as good value on paper as this bike here. But like the Addict, it's a lightweight aero frame with fully internal cable routing at the front end, and like the Addict, looks pretty fast. The equipment on this bike is up to scratch and definitely delivers really well, and it's everything you want in a modern road race bike. There's only one thing I would change on the bike, and that's the saddle. I didn't get on with the saddle at all. Too firm and the wrong shape for my bottom, so that's something I would change straight away. But apart from that, there's nothing else I would change, and it's been really reliable. In a month, 5 weeks, I've been riding the bike through some quite challenging conditions, it has to be said. Firstly, Shimano's Ultegra Di2 group set. What can I say that hasn't been said before? Reliable, super shifting performance, just works extremely well. A 52/36 chain set and 11/30 cassette, so good range, good top end for sprinting, and good low end for climbing when you're not racing, so good group set. The disc brakes, well, they just work fantastic, and I'll leave it at that really. And then we have some lovely carbon fiber wheels from Syncross. Now, Syncross used to be an independent component company, but was acquired by Scott a few years ago as an accessory brand for their bikes, much like Bontrager to Trek. So 35mm deep wheels, a nice balance between aero and low weight, reasonably wide for these 28mm wide tyres. So we've got external nipples for easy maintenance, bladed spokes into very funky looking hubs with a fast engaging free hub, and bearings that through my testing have been reliable and still spin smoothly as it did when it first arrived. So a nice set of wheels, lightweight, can't really fault them to be honest, and a good set of wheels on a bike like this, so you don't have to upgrade your wheels straight away. We then have a set of Schwalbe Pro 1 28mm wide tyres. 28 is fast becoming my favourite for a road race bike like this. You get the speed, you get the comfort, you get the traction, makes this bike more usable in real world situations when you're not racing and you're not putting a number on. And even for racing, I wouldn't change from the 28 unless you're really obsessed about weight or you're riding very smooth roads where you could go down to a 25 or 26. So good tyres, probably clearance for a 30 at a squeeze at the back there, but a 28 is a good balance for me. So my verdict on a Scott Addict RC 15. If you're in the market for a road race bike and you want low weight, you want high stiffness, and you want speed, you want integration, you want disc brakes, you want a cool paint job, well yes, it's an easy bike to recommend. I really enjoy riding the bike. I love the speed. It's such a fast bike over all terrain as well. Rolling, undulating roads, steep climbs, it climbs exceptionally well. It's fantastic on the descents. Just works really well everywhere. The ride comfort isn't as smooth as it could be, but with the wide tyres and low pressures, you can get more comfort out of the bike. Change the saddle, definitely a recommendation there. But it's an easy bike to like, and it really wins you over with that sense of urgency and that really kind of responsive, agile handling it displays on my local roads. The Addict has come a long way since that original way back in 2007. And I think road bikes like this are in a really exciting place at the moment. And we've got some fantastic performance and fantastic technology. Integration, disc brakes, aeroframe is still lightweight. There's still more room for development, of course. Weight is definitely a factor, but bikes are jolly good at the moment, and bikes like this are definitely right at the top of the pile of that extremely good performance in all aspects of road racing and riding. So an easy bike to recommend. Looks great, good value for money, rides well. Yeah, big thumbs up from me. So that has been my review of the Scott Addict RC 15, and if you have any questions, put them down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed watching this video, hit the thumbs up, like button, subscribe if you haven't already. More videos floating around, you can watch those as well. And I'll see you all again next time. Thank you so much for watching.